There's a space between fighting your singlehood and fully embracing it. A middle ground where you're not constantly defending yourself anymore, but you're also not entirely sure if being single is your forever identity. It's where you can say, I'm happily single right now, without the tightness in your chest. Where you're genuinely open to partnership, but not organizing your life around seeking it. Where singlehood is just one part of who you are. I'm Lauren, this is Intentionally Single, welcome back. Today, we're talking about peripheral identity, the transition space between defending your singlehood and claiming it as your core. Last week, we talked about counternormative identity, the exhaustion of constant defense. Today, we're going to see what happens when that defense finally drops. Let me share about what the research says about this transition space. This comes from Dr. Eliakim Kislev 2023 paper, Singlehood as an Identity. I shared this in the last episode. But now we're talking about peripheral identity. She says, peripheral identity can be annexed or discarded according to the individual's preference, external influences, and with time. Here's the key phrase, can be annexed or discarded. So this isn't your forever identity. It's fluid. It's changeable. You're not locked into being single. You're exploring what it means for you right now, and that meaning can shift. The research continues to say, singles' identity can be viewed not as fixed category, but as an individual process of meaning making. Singlehood can be explored in how single adults create meaning around their single status, accept it, and adopt a matching cognitive and behavioral scheme. The translation is you're not trapped, you're exploring, and what you discover might surprise you. So when you move from counternormative to peripheral identity, here's what shifts. I'm just going to say these are tough words to say. So the defensive voice is quieted. When people ask if you're dating, you can say, nope, not right now, without feeling like you need to explain why, without needing to reassure them or yourself that you're still happy, without needing to defend your choice or prove that you're not broken. Just, nope, not right now, and that's enough. The comparison stops. You're not measuring your life against partnered people anymore. You're not looking at couples and thinking, they have something I don't. You're not justifying your singlehood by pointing to bad relationships others are in. You're just living your life, and they are living theirs. Different lives, not better or worse. The future hedging becomes honest. In counternormative identity, you say, I'm happy, single, but open to meeting someone, but just as a defense. A signal is, please don't pity me. There's still hope. I'll be normal someday. In peripheral identity, that same statement is just true. You are happy single, and you are genuinely open to partnership if it shows up naturally. But you're not holding your breath. You're not arranging your life around possibilities. You're fully inhabiting the life you have while remaining receptive to change. That's the difference. So, we're going to go into positive versus negative peripheral identity. Here's what I found fascinating about this research is peripheral identity can be positive or negative, and that distinction matters. Positive peripheral identity says, I'm single right now, I'm genuinely content with my life as it is, I'm open to partnership if it shows up naturally, but I'm not holding my breath. My life feels full. This is where happiness and singlehood coexist without conflict, according to Kislev 2023. Now, negative peripheral identity is, I'm single right now, and while I'm not in crisis about it, I do want partnership. I feel like something is missing, and I'm working towards changing but I'm not panicking. This is where desire for partnership exists without the shame of counternormative identity. Both are peripheral, both are fluid, both are legitimate. The difference is whether you're content with singlehood as it is or whether you're genuinely seeking to change it. But in both cases, the defense has dropped. The exhaustion has lifted. You're not fighting with yourself anymore. So here's some Gen X data on peripheral identity. There is this, it's called 538 analysis, which is 2023, a research paper, essentially. And there is Gen X singles stats that I want to share. I shared some of these stats in the last episode, but now this is towards peripheral identity. So for ages 45 to 60, which is Gen X, 64% say that they enjoy being single more than being in a relationship. 65% say they have more important priorities right now. And 65% cannot find someone who meets their expectations. Notice what these numbers reveal. Like I used in the last episode too, but now we're looking at these numbers in a different way. So most Gen X singles are in positive peripheral identity. They're genuinely enjoying being single. They have other priorities and they are not willing to They're not willing to settle. That's not counternormative identity anymore. That's peripheral, fluid, content, but not necessarily permanent. So the research shows several factors that help people move from counternormative to peripheral. Factor one is recognizing real benefits. The studies show that when singles genuinely recognize benefits, not as just a defense justification, but as real advantages they value, the conflict will decrease. Benefits like autonomy in decision-making, freedom to pursue goals without negotiation, time for friendships and personal interests, financial independence, and also space for self-discovery and improvement. The key word here, this is genuine. In counternormative identity, you list these benefits as proof that you're not broken. Again, proof that you're not broken. In peripheral identity, you experience these benefits as things you actually value. So when you're looking for proof, and in the other, you're looking for this experience. You're actually experiencing these feelings. The factor number two is time and lived experience. So there was a longitudinal study that tracked singles over several years and found that many naturally shifted from counternormative to peripheral identity simply through time. So as they accumulated experiences of being contentedly single, as their friendships deepened, as their careers developed, as their lives filled with meaning that didn't come from partnership, this lived experience of I'm actually okay eventually overrides the cultural message of you shouldn't be. Third factor is done by researcher Jessica Eck, which she conducted interviews with single men in 2004, then followed up with them in 2008, the same men. And she found that many had shifted their identity around singlehood over these 4 years, which is a lot of time. So some had hoped to be married, that had gradually shifted their expectations for marriage from hoping to get married to considering embracing singlehood by focusing on the benefits of being single and by questioning whether their marriage is a right fit for them. So notice this language: considering, questioning, not defending, not certain, just kind of exploring. That's peripheral identity. So how to recognize peripheral identity in yourself if you're curious about what's going on. So sign number one that you're in this is your defense is dropped. You don't feel the need to justify being single anymore. And when someone asks if you're dating, you could say no without this tightness in your chest, the need to explain, the urge to list all the ways your life is good anyway, and the impulse to add, but I'm still open. Just, nope, not right now, and that is enough. Sign number two is you're genuinely content and genuinely open. Genuine. This is the paradox of peripheral identity. You're not seeking partnership, but you're not close to the idea either. You're genuinely happy with your life as it is, and you are receptive to partnership if it shows up naturally. Both are true, and they don't conflict. Sign number three, sorry, I'm just looking at my dog. I think he wants to get out, but he'll wait. Sign number three is singlehood feels like one part of your identity. Not the main part, not the problem part, just one descriptor among many others, like being an introvert or having brown hair or living in a particular city. It's just a fact about you, but it's not this organizing principle of your life. Sign number 4 is you can envision long-term singlehood without it feeling like a failure. This is the big one. In counternormative, the thought of being single long-term feels like something went wrong. I failed at life. I'll die alone and no one will find my body. Something like really extreme. In peripheral, the thought of being single long-term feels like that could be okay. I could build a good life that way. It's not my preference necessarily, but it wouldn't be tragic. You're not committed to long-term singlehood, but you're not terrified of it either. It's just a possibility, one you could live with. The fluid nature of peripheral identity. This is what's important to understand. Peripheral identity is fluid. You could stay here. Many people do. They're contentedly single, genuinely open to partnership, living full lives without any conflict. That's a completely peaceful place to be. But peripheral is also a transition space for some people, because eventually in peripheral, even without conflict, you might still be operating with one assumption, that if the right person came along, you'd want partnership. That being single is fine, but partnership would be better, the next level, whatever words you want to use. So peripheral identity is where you stop fighting for your singlehood, but it's not necessarily where you fully examine whether partnership is actually what you want. You're open to it. You're not seeking it desperately. You're not questioning it either. And for some people, like myself, that questioning eventually comes. And when it does, you might discover you're moving into something else entirely. It's your core identity, single at heart. But we'll talk about that next week. So let's go through a quick guided practice, checking your current identity. So let's look at where you identify where you are right now. So this is just a mindfulness practice. You can keep your eyes open, just listen to my words, and just notice what comes to you. So think about the last time someone asked if you were dating. What happened in your body? Do you remember? You can close your eyes if that helps you to center yourself and really hear these answers. Did you feel defensive? Did you feel tight, like you needed to explain? That's counternormative identity. Or did you feel neutral, like you could just answer without the charge, that emotional charge? That might be peripheral identity. Now ask yourself, am I fighting with myself about being single? If yes, that's counternormative. If no, you might be in peripheral identity. And here's the question, the key question. Could I envision staying single long-term without it feeling like I'm a failure? If that feels possible, even if it's not your preference, that's peripheral. Just notice where you are. No judgment, just awareness. Take a deep breath and just notice the thoughts that come to your mind. Take some time with this if you need to. However long you need is okay. This episode helped you recognize peripheral identity in yourself, or perhaps counter-normative. If you thought you were in one, maybe you're in the other. Let me know. Email me. Reach out at intentionallySinglePodcast@gmail.com, or if you prefer Instagram, the Girl with the Vine Tattoo. Tell me, what shifted when you moved out of constant defense? Or are you still in counter-normative identity and wondering how to move through it? Remember, I read every single email, so I'm excited to get yours. Next week, the single at heart, when I realized this might be forever. Talking about core identity here, what it looks like when singlehood isn't temporary or fluid, but it's essential. When you realize this might be who you actually are. I will see you next week. This is Intentionally Single. I'm Lauren. Peripheral identity is space between fighting your singlehood and claiming it as core, where the defense drops, where you're content and open, where singlehood is just part of who you are. It's fluid, it's legitimate, and for some people, it's where they stay. Remember, singlehood as authentic identity, not as a problem to solve. Thank you so much for listening.